Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Before we begin, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Imagine this scenario. The man you've shared your life with, the partner who understands your every secret, your unique habits, your joy, and your most profound fears, is abruptly motionless in a hospital bed. He's encircled by a web of wires and medical equipment. The powerful heart that once felt invincible is now delicate. The vibrant laughter that used to echo through your home is now replaced by the monotonous beep of machines. For Kelly Ripa, this wasn't a scene from a television show or a dramatic movie. This was her reality, completely upended when her cherished husband, Mark Consuelos, landed in the ICU, confronting a fight no one saw coming. Kelly has always been the cheerful voice we hear in the mornings. But in her recent, heartfelt recollections, she detailed the terror that seized her when Mark was hurried to the hospital. She remembered the chaotic blur of sirens, the long, sterile hallways, and the frantic prayers she murmured as she trailed the gurney that carried her husband into intensive care. "I couldn't process that this was happening," she confessed. "One moment we were deciding on dinner, and the next I was petrified I was about to lose him." What transpired next left fans deeply moved. Mark, while he found it difficult to speak in those initial ICU hours, asked to see their children. This wasn't merely a simple plea. It was a father's last wish, spoken during a moment of profound, unfiltered honesty. He needed to ensure his kids heard from him directly. Not about his medical status, not about his pain, but about love. He yearned to remind them of all that was important before it was too late. And that one request, uttered between strained breaths, broke Kelly's heart in a manner no camera could ever convey. Now, this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because although Mark's wish was straightforward, fulfilling it was complex. Their children were in different places. Some were working, others were in school, all living the independent lives their parents had so proudly fostered. Kelly was conflicted. Should she shield them from the immediate shock of their father's condition, or respect his wish and bring them to face a situation none of them were prepared for? She opted for love, and with that decision, the family's entire world changed. When the children arrived, the reunion was incredibly moving. Kelly recounted how Mark, even while connected to machines, gathered his strength to sit up, resolved to be the father his children needed him to be in that moment. He addressed each child individually, giving them words that will stay in their hearts for a lifetime. To his firstborn, he talked of duty and bravery. To his second child, he spoke of fortitude and empathy. To his youngest, he whispered about happiness, reminding them that laughter is its own form of strength. But this is where the emotional gravity intensifies. Kelly admitted that as she observed her husband speaking, she understood that he was getting his family ready not just for his potential recovery, but for the chance that he might have to say farewell. She saw it in his expression, that mixture of affection and sorrow that appears only when someone is on the verge of life and recognizes its fragility. For Kelly, it was almost too much to bear. How can you maintain hope when your partner appears to be making peace with the idea of letting go? This is the part of the narrative that brought fans all over the country to tears. Kelly shared that Mark, after the kids had left the room, quietly asked her to make sure they would never question the depth of his love for them. "If I'm not able to say it tomorrow," he told her, "promise me you'll keep telling them for me." It was that appeal, that ultimate wish, that shattered Kelly, and yet it also provided her the resolve to remain by his side, refusing to let hopelessness take over. Still, the question remained, would this be their final family talk? Would those words be his lasting legacy? That doubt, Kelly acknowledged, tormented her through sleepless nights in the ICU waiting area. She held on to her faith, to memories of their younger days, and to the idea of all the future milestones they had yet to witness as a family. And in the quiet of those long nights, she had a revelation. Every family, at some stage, encounters moments like this. Perhaps not in a hospital or under the stark glare of ICU lighting, but in times where love and fear intersect, where the future feels precarious, and where the words we choose to say are more important than ever. That insight inspired the message Kelly has since passed on to her fans. Don't wait. Never hesitate to say, "I love you." Don't postpone forgiveness. Don't put off sharing a moment of laughter, a personal story, or a warm embrace. Because when life places us in those critical care situations, the only thing of value that remains is love. And we often recognize this only when our time is dwindling. However, Kelly's story doesn't conclude in sorrow, because in true Consuelo style, Mark's determined spirit began to surface. Bit by bit, the doctors brought news of minor triumphs. His breathing became stronger. The color came back to his face. His smile began to reappear in the room. Each small improvement felt like a miracle. Each tiny improvement felt like a miracle, a small but powerful testament to his will to live. The journey out of the ICU was not a sprint, but a slow, arduous marathon. Days were measured by milestones that would seem insignificant to an outsider, but were monumental to Kelly and their children. The day he could sit up on his own. The first time he managed to eat a solid meal. The afternoon he took a few shaky steps with the help of a physical therapist. Each one was a victory, celebrated with tears of relief and joy. Kelly became his fiercest advocate and most devoted nurse, learning the rhythms of his medication, the nuances of his recovery, and the signs of both progress and fatigue. The atmosphere in his hospital room transformed. The initial weight of dread and potential grief was gradually lifted, replaced by a cautious but growing optimism. The children brought in posters, photos, and small comforts from home, slowly turning the sterile clinical space into a sanctuary of love and familiarity. They shared stories, played his favorite music softly, and read him messages from friends and fans, creating a cocoon of support that was as vital to his healing as any medicine. For Kelly, watching her children rally around their father with such maturity and compassion was a source of immense pride. They were no longer just the children he was trying to protect. They were now active participants in his fight, their strength mirroring his own. As Mark's ability to communicate improved, he shared with Kelly the terrifying haze of his initial hours in the ICU. He confessed that his request to see the children came from a place of genuine fear that his time was running out. He hadn't been ready to say goodbye, but he was terrified that he wouldn't get another chance to say everything that was in his heart. He told her how, through the pain and disorientation, her face was his anchor. Seeing her steadfast presence beside him gave him a reason to fight harder, to push through the exhaustion, and to believe in a future he couldn't yet clearly see. These raw, honest conversations wove a new layer of intimacy into their decades-long partnership, one forged in the crucible of shared fear and ultimate triumph. The day Mark was finally cleared to go home was one of overwhelming emotion. Leaving the hospital felt like emerging from a long, dark tunnel into brilliant sunshine. As they drove away, Kelly looked back at the building that had contained so much of their pain and realized it was also the place where they had been reminded of their own strength. Returning home wasn't just about sleeping in their own bed or enjoying a home-cooked meal. It was about reclaiming the life that had been so violently interrupted. The simple, everyday routines they had once taken for granted now felt like precious gifts. This harrowing experience left an indelible mark on the entire Consuelos family. Kelly has since said that the crisis, while being the worst period of her life, ultimately brought their family closer than ever before. It stripped away the non-essential and focused them on what truly matters, each other. It solidified her belief that life is unpredictable and fragile, and that love should be expressed freely, frequently, and without reservation. Mark's full recovery was more than just a medical victory. It was a powerful reminder that even in the face of life's most daunting challenges, the combined force of hope, resilience,